Motion closed. Second. Have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. In the closed session, we discussed, one personnel matter that we want to clear up, not here, but clear up later. And then, empower the town manager to enter, negotiations with, professional services. And it's just kind of a broad stroke, we're fishing on some things and we need some help to make sure we're doing it right. So, given that, let's, go into the regular meeting. First is a moment of silence, and I think this might be the first that we're holding steady. I don't know of anyone that left us. So, let's have a moment of silence just for in general, please. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance.
So fly of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A public comment, we had several comments and a lot of them were of the same nature. That's to do with parking. And the parking was mainly, we have a one tag or one pass per household. That has created a problem for many people. And so all the people on here, I'll list them out. Sandy and Lindsay Jordan, Aaron Shannon, Dale and Paula Stewart. And yeah, they're the ones that mailed in comments. Instead of reading them out, they're the same thing. They're opposed to the single permit and would like to see more and how we need to do that. So that's something the board needs to decide. Next is from Sue Markinson, and it has something similar to do with that, except it's the 90-day turnaround for changing a license in your or permit. That's kind of excessive because if you get a new permit or lose your license, you get a new license and you go to get it changed at the end of the summer, you might have it. So, something like that needs to be changed, but we need to be brought up to speed on it so we know it's what the problem.
I thought that meant you couldn't change your license plate that you've entered in the system but once every 90 days.
They don't allow, that's correct.
Yeah, it's not a 90-day waiting, it's just, I think it's to close the loop from, I'll put my license plate in and use it, and then next month you gotta put yours, and the next month somebody else puts theirs. Is that?
Yeah, that's correct. It's like, if you're gonna drive one car this weekend, and then next weekend you got a different car, so you go in there and change it, and it's administrative, issues for them on their side. So that's why they only allow it once every 90 days. And that's usually like if you change a,
you change your
sell your
tag,
car, or
buy a new car.
exactly.
Would
That's the
you
purpose.
take the time to respond back to her on that?
Sure.
The next is from Julia Sharon. It has to do with the early morning services that the Emma Anderson Church is wanting to provide in the morning, early morning sunrise. It's going to occur more regularly, and our events will let it happen. This is something that's going to be discussed in, I think, item 15 on our agenda, that we're changing the ordinance to allow this to happen. So that's different from just a amendment to submit a permit each time they want to have a service. Be cumbersome and not really productive. So this will take care of that. Any other public comment?
Hey, everybody. Good evening. Kate Tucker, 634 Davis Avenue. First thing I'd like to say, it's on the agenda already tonight, but just how proud I am of this town and visitors and everybody else that we were able to save the South End. That's going to be talked about down the line. But I'm coming at it from a different angle because I'm so proud of it. I'm coming here disappointed because in the last 2 weeks ago on Fridays, we decided that That place was so pristine and nice that at every given moment at that parking lot that we're gonna charge somebody to see the thing that we decided to save. So, this was something like that, I wished it would have just stayed how it was. Because I understand that the reason is monetizing it, because it's a real busy parking lot, and maybe we're losing out on some money, but it's a busy parking lot for the same reason we wanted to save it. Right? The reason we wanted to save it, because it's the prettiest piece on the island, if you ask me, and we weren't the only one that thought so. We got money from multiple sources, including federal sources, states that aren't even close to us, Nebraska, Arkansas. And so I just think in order to keep it for everybody, this town has always done a really good job of public access. And maybe there's some room. I'm not saying that we shouldn't make money down there, but the way we had it, if you got up early, then maybe you could get rewarded by getting down there for an hour and a half before they started to charge parking. And maybe in the evening, if you got there a little bit late, you could get there and see it for free, which I think is the point of saving this. This is for everybody, and it's for the next generation and people that have never been here before that are coming for the first time. And I know that we're all in a really good place because, you know, people that live down here now are in a good place. But I'm asking people to think of their 20-year-old self or 23-year-old self with 2 young kids. And if you want to come down and see the prettiest part in Topsail Beach, it's going to cost you $35, no matter if it's 6 o'clock in the morning or if it's 9 o'clock at night. And it just goes against my sensibilities. So I know I'm one opinion, but I just think it's ironic. And maybe it's something we ought to give some more thought to, and it'll be another year before we do. But I just hope it's a more robust discussion and not something on a Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock when we had two board members gone. You know, a more robust conversation. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But I'm disappointed in it. All right. And the second thing is on parking as well is last year I got a ticket. I'm a resident here, but I got a ticket for I didn't even know it was a rule that you're supposed to park in the right of way with the way the traffic's going. And if I didn't know it, guess who else doesn't know it? People that are visiting here. And I got it right across from my house in the right of way. And so when I tried to call, we're Surfcast Park, and I called them. You can't talk to anybody if you're trying to appeal the ticket because you have to send an email and then they email you back. And that's it. There's no appeal process and no signs on the road. And I know we don't want to put signs everywhere, but then we got to ask ourselves, are we trying to help people do the right thing by parking? And if we are, then we should have signs. But if it's about revenue, then maybe we shouldn't put signs out and let them park like they don't know what's going on and we give them a ticket. So these are just some things that came to mind. But the most important one for me is the South End. And I know as a resident, we're getting some time in the evening, but that's not really the point, if you ask me, because we had more people concerned about the South End than just the residents. More people paid for that than just the residents. That's all I have. Thank you.
Michelle Rivers.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Rivers, president of Conserve the Point and resident of 2115 Brine Drive here in Topsail Beach. So hard to follow talk. And what I was going to say, but I am in agreement with him that we need a continued discussion about how to use the South End parking lot. So thanks for bringing that up. So what I did want to say was we saw on tonight's agenda that the Coastal Land Trust will be honored by the mayor. And we wanted to share our congratulations. So on behalf of Conserve the Point and our community, we congratulate the Coastal Land Trust, hope they're watching, on being named Conservation Organization of the Year by the North Carolina Wildlife Federation. Big honor. Their leadership in the Save the South End campaign helped ensure that the South End of our island will be permanently protected and is now called the South Topsail Preserve. We were proud to nominate them for this well-deserved recognition and are thrilled that their extraordinary conservation work is being honored. We are grateful for their continued partnership as they transfer the property to the state. But we will continue as a community working together to care for this special place. So we are launching the South Topsail Stewardship Program again this summer. You should all be getting an email soon, and we'll have it up on our website as well. And we hope many members of the community will join us in volunteering to save this special place that we all love so much. So thank you all. Thank you to the Coastal Land Trust, and congratulations to them in being such an exemplary conservation organization and working so well with all of us in the community at Save the South End.
Thank you.
Dick Farrell.
Dick Earl, 507 Bridges. I guess this comes under the heading of thank you. When I was filling out the form, they said, what was the topic? I couldn't think of anything but thank you. And here's the story. Let's go back to the snowstorm. And a big front end loader came down Bridges Avenue, and it has a little bend in the road. And he cut a little path 4 feet by 10 feet off my grass. No big deal. No one could know where the road was. You know, you don't have the markers as we do in the north section of the United States. I won't say anything more about that. But anyway, so I waited 3 or 4 days till the snow melted. And I got out my little trailer thing and a shovel and a rake, and I was kind of putting the dirt back. And it was deposited on the other side of the street. No big deal. All of a sudden, town truck pulls up. He stops. It was a young fellow and an older fellow, and I didn't get their names, so I'm just telling you this. And they stopped and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm just putting the dirt back on the side of my ground." Well, the elderly gentleman who said, "I was the man who did that, and I feel terrible, and I want to help you." I said, "Wow, thank you." So they pulled the truck over, took out their shovels and rakes, and in 10 minutes, it was all put back. And I never got their names. So maybe you know who the front end loader driver was.
Yeah, it was Matt, Matt O'Connell.
And then there was a younger fella.
Yeah, Sam Perry was with him.
Terrific. Well, tell them thank you.
I will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Last chance, any public comment until we get through the meeting? The next thing is the mayor's minute. It's a little bit different, but first off, I'd like to introduce our attorney stand-in, J.D. Fisher, with the same firm that our attorney's from. And I guess he's not in training anymore. He's a full lawyer. After our meeting upstairs with the closed session, I'd say he's a very good lawyer. He did a good job. So we're all out of jail. Next is an appreciation for a member of our community. Lisa Gotten. She's been nominated by the governor to the North Carolina Education Blue Ribbon Committee, which is an extremely powerful committee. They're going to orchestrate how things are done with teachers, what their pays might be, and how their curriculum is going to work. So kudos for her. That's really great. So the next is the proclamation for the North Carolina Land Trust. Harrison Marks emailed me earlier. He's the executive director, and he wanted to be here, but he had other commitments. But I think he's going to be listening in or viewing in afterwards. So, proclamation. There are a lot of whereases in here, so bear with me. Recognizing the North Carolina Land Trust as a conservation organization of the year. Whereas the North Carolina Coastal Land Trust is dedicated to protecting the natural lands and waters of coastal North Carolina for the benefit of wildlife, local communities, and future generations. And whereas The organization successfully led an effort to permanently protect 150 acres on the south end of Topsail Island, an area rich in coastal wetlands and vital habitats supporting 31 threatened species. And whereas, when a private sale in 2022 threatened the development of the ecological significant landscape, the North Carolina Coastal Land Trust launched the $8 million Save the South End campaign to secure the property and preserve it in its natural resource. And whereas, through remarkable leadership and collaboration, the organization mobilized more than 750 donors, raised 1.6 million in private contributions, and secured more than 6 million in grants funding to achieve this important conservation milestone. And whereas, beyond the acquisition of the property, the North Carolina Coastal Land Trust established a stewardship program that engaged community volunteers in its habitat protection, beach patrol, and management of endangered bird nesting sites. And whereas, this effort demonstrates the organization's outstanding ability to combine conservation leadership, community engagement, and public access to protect North Carolina's treasured coastal landscapes. And whereas, in recognition of these achievements, the North Carolina Wildlife Federation has named the North Carolina Coastal Land Trust its Conservation Organization of the Year. Now, therefore, it is proclaimed that the town of Topsail Beach proudly recognizes and honors the North Carolina Coastal Land Trust for its exceptional commitment to conservation and its successful protection of a critical coastal habitat on Topsail Island. Be it further proclaimed that the town of North Topsail Beach expresses its sincere appreciation for the organization's dedication to safeguarding the North Carolina's natural heritage and encourage continued support conservation efforts that protect wildlife and coastal ecosystems for generations to come. Proclaimed this 11th day of March. This is a major thing. I think many of us here, myself included, I think I did a first master plan for a park in the south end in about 21 years ago. And so after that, things just kind of waffled back and forth with the different developments that came forward on that property. Some good, some bad. One that had 180 lots, and it could have happened, but sorry, JB, but it didn't. And I think with the resources that we had with the folks local and with the state and the individuals that really contributed a lot to this effort. So we won. And I think, like Coach said, that you can't replace that, and it's a beautiful place. So congratulations to all those that have been involved.
And we also need to mention the work of Steve Smith, who was mayor, in shepherding the process to make sure we didn't get sued and that we followed, as he kept always saying, be patient and follow the process and let it work its way to the end. And it did.
His patience.
His patience is greater than most.
So, given that, okay, so now we need the approval for the regular agenda.
Make a motion to accept the regular agenda.
If you
Yeah, can we add an agenda item to talk about the parking passes, hang tag situation?
and I support that. Good. Where would y'all like to put it?
Very easy. After the crack market. And 10A. Would that work, Richie?
So 10A.
Okay.
Either needs to amend his motion or.
Yeah. I will withdraw it for now, so they figure out what they want.
That's it. So it's 10A.
Again, I make a motion that we add item 10A to the agenda, which is the parking passes and the rules governing that.
You just want to approve the agenda with the modification.
Yeah, I'll approve the agenda with the modification of adding item 10A.
Okay, need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Conflict of interest, Alex?
No.
No. So,
No,
approval of consent agenda. Have any changes or want a motion to approve?
Take the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
aye.
Passes. Public hearing, there are none, so you're up. Yeah, time for the audit.
Oh, at least we got one weapon this year.
Yeah.
Shaw should have gotten a copy of the financial. I hope he's read it and can't find those fellows. That was always. I'll go with my little presentation. But anyway, my name's Wade Green and I'm with W Green, PLLC in Whiteville. All that has been sent to LGC and they said that it's, but Raleigh's happy at the moment. Anyway, so just flip over to page 2 of my little pamphlet here. You get the high spot. You can see your general fund. You get over 5.7 million in revenue, 5.8 million in expenditure. Also 120,000 in revenue under expenses for the year. As you can see, you had 4.9 million in revenues last year, and it's been steadily going up since 2019. It's 2.9 million. So income and expense has steadily been increasing. Any questions on that one? The next one, your fund balance available. That's basically the cash in the bank after you pay your bills. You got 4.9 million at year end. You had 5.4 million last year. If you divide that 4.9 million by the prior charged expenses, you get the next one, the percentage. You at 85.38%. So you got well over basically 9 months, 10 months worth of cash on hand at year end. LGC, I would say 75% and higher, they would say you're in excellent shape. So you're at 85.38. For the past, what, 6, 7 years, you've been at basically 90%. So you've been staying in good shape. Any questions on your general fund? It's in good shape. The BIS, Capital Project Fund. Revenue at 3.4 million. The expenses a little over $1 million. I think revenues over expenses, I think it was 2.4 million in the BIS. You see, with 20 million in revenue last year and 25 million in expenses. Anyway, 2.4 million for the current year. The next one, the fund balance available. BIS. 6.1 million. With 3.7 million last year. So that was in good shape that you're in. Any question on your BIS? The next one, your water fund. Revenues, 1.2 million. Expenses, 1.19 million. Worth that by 80-some thousand dollars. I mean, 120,000 revenues from prior. But as you see, your past couple of years, your revenues and expenses went up a little bit, but still in good shape for your water fund. Fund balance available. A little over $2 million, but 1.8 million last year. But you see your water fund's been up, down a little bit, so it kind of, you're not the only one that fluctuates on basically. The next one, the percentage. You had 169.58. You got well over a year and a half worth of cash on hand at year end. I'll say most towns this size, 25, 35% tend to be normal. So, but you're at 169. So your water fund's in good shape. I think the local government commission complained a little bit that it weren't going up quite as much as they had hoped because of your debt, but it's getting paid off, so it's going up even more. The next one, just total cash in your bank for all your funds. Governmental funds, 20.4 million. 8 million of that is a grant that you got at Janice. So your basic general fund's got 12 million in it. And a little over 2 million in your, business type funds. You see your cash has steadily been increasing in your governmental funds. Any questions on that one? Your cash and your BIS fund, 6.1 million, like I say at year end, 3.7 million last year. But it's steadily increasing. Most after hurricane, so it's steadily increasing. The next one, your long-term debt. Governmental funds, a little over 4.2 million. And 1.8 million in your enterprise funds. This past year, we had to accrue sick leave. In the past, we never have. Now we're having to. New accounting standard. About 850,000 just for your governmental funds got put on the books, and 50-some thousand on your water fund. So it's basically $1 million higher because your sick leave having to be on the books. Something new. So
It's not a cash item though.
no, it's
correct?
just an accruing debt.
Just
to be
shows
honest-
that if you had to write a check, that's what it would be.
Yes,
Okay.
but everyone retires and carries that time with them when they retire for years of service, so it really don't ever get paid. Something that just went on the books. Don't ask me.
You don't know, no,
That's up front of the road, the big boys, so you don't. Next, your net tax levy, a little over $3 million. Over 3 million last year, so it increased roughly $40,000 for the current year. As you can see, with 2.1 million, about 4 years ago, 3 million now. Any questions on that one? Your collection rate, you're at 99.71%. And 99.71 for your real and personal, and 100% for motor vehicles. I'm from Columbus County. And Ross Blade, 93, 94. They jump for joy. The beaches, 99.9, it tends to be. And west on 95, it tends to be 99.9. There, I think like Greensboro and all them, in 3 years, they trying to sell your property. They don't wait. Where here's 10 years, hey, the county don't do something, but there about 3 years, they don't play. So, but anyway, you got an excellent rate. A lot more than Columbus County is the beaches. Anyway, they kind of hit the high spots. Anything stand out? I can elaborate on or tell Connie to explain what she did.
that's the thing, a lot of this, success of it is through Connie.
Yeah.
Her understanding of what we've been doing all these years and the history with it. It really shows. And one thing when we start talking about cash reserves in the bank and stuff like that, one of the things that I keep preaching is that we need to be prepared. When the storm hits, there might be many months that we don't have any income, but yet we have bills. We have to pay contractors, we have to pay whoever, to keep up. And in the western part of the state, there's sometimes times that are in the hot right now for $12 million. And they don't have the tax base to come up with it. So I think us saving like this is putting us in a good position to protect ourselves. And that's for all of us. So to think we can just turn around and give that all back, we will, but in a different form, we're keeping us alive. So that's the thing.
I saw that Surf City just raised their, where we have the 50% coverage on expensive threshold, they raised theirs to 85. Proposed it to go to 85.
Thank you. It's,
Been a pleasure. Been a
and,
pleasure.
just to let you know, we did have a free meeting with individual commissioners with It's great. And then, we went through the big book.
Yeah.
And so this is a broad.
120 pages.
Yeah, it's really great reading. I got confused at the third or fourth page.
I didn't think, but don't feel bad.
But I'm glad it comes out and each year we're grateful for what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, anybody have any questions? A lot to absorb in a short amount of time.
Help you know that during the individual sessions that, the mayor just mentioned, we had plenty of questions, and opportunity to ask them both Wade and Connie. But this is not the first time we've seen this.
And we got the big books.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wade.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 9, discuss, consider and vote on a special event permit for the North Carolina Land Trust.
The process hasn't really changed. The ordinance requires us for any event that's held between May 15th and October 1st, or any event with over 200 people participating, comes to you guys. So the first one we have is from the Topsail Land Trust, to hold a save the South End celebration on April 15th. I gotta pull up it's right here. So, do you guys have any questions on that? All of the department heads have signed off.
We need to vote. Make a motion, we approve it.
Thank you. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Alright.
Okay, now so discuss, consider and vote on special event permit for the Topsail Craft Market.
And as you guys can see, they have changed their location, so they will be over towards the assembly building, using their parking lots for parking and for the event. So that they'll still be here in Topsail Beach. Instead of having to relocate.
It's been ongoing for a few years.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it draws visitors. I make a motion, we approve this special event.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Okay, 10A, parking. I guess back to the comments that we had, there's some issues with parking that we need to address or discuss. So I guess I'm gonna open up to the board that the discussion comes from the number of passes. I think that's the predominant issue right now. Is the number of passes, whether there's one per household or two, or do we try to go back to the hanging tags, or it's just give us some input.
When you had the hanging tag, you had transferability, which I think helped people. We don't know right now if we can go back to the hanging tag. But my thought would be if we couldn't, to provide every resident with the ability to upload 2 license numbers tied to their house.
Thank you.
Does
That's not,
do either, or do those solve it if we can do one of the 2?
I think what happens with, since it's digital, just prefer you don't have to.
Get you on record.
they didn't even think about
Yeah, Dave Tucker, 634 Davis. I have property in Search City, so just how they do it, it seems to be easy. It's the same as the digital, but 2 per household. And same thing, you can switch even those 2 up every 90 days. But it seems to work. You do it at the beginning of the season to the end. And the reason they don't like the hang tags, I got a ticket last year because it fell down on the floor or whatever, is because they just scan your license plate. They don't want to go around the front. They can do it super quick. So I think they're trying to get away with any physical hang tag. It's all digital. That's just what I know.
Yeah, everybody in here could probably come up with for instance, the 2 that I've heard this week are neighbors that inherited their cottages from their parents. And they said, well, wait a minute, John, if we only have one car registered, my brother gets the house, you know, X number of times, and it doesn't work out for one of us. We're gonna be fighting in the front yard, you know, two brothers. So,
Same issue for renters. People who rent out their house, they can have the hang tag for an amenity, but if you go to the license, that's not a possibility. But again, we don't even know if it is an option to go back to the hang tag at this point.
Mayor, I support an immediate change to two licenses for, what is it? Two permits, and then, you know, the rest of the issue is more complicated to resolve, like, Nancy just described, but let's go right away.
And not consider going back to the hang tag.
I'm not saying that, but right, let's do two per house.
What's the quickest we can do, satisfy?
And, you know, take a little bit more solve on it to solve the other problem.
It's really finding out if the provider is willing to go back to the hang tag. Is that correct?
I mean, I've reached out and asked the question. I think it's highly unlikely, but I have not received his response yet. It was really an issue for him last year, but given the fact that, we made a decision so close to the time that we were going to implement paid parking in those areas, it was kind of the only option. We did have to pay an extra fee for them to, do the hang tag system for us for enforcement. It does take them extra time, just like, Kate said. So, again, there was some discussion even last year that, you know, next year we're going to have to move to the system that we're in currently. So again, with that being said, I have not heard no from him, but I think it's highly unlikely that he'll allow us to go back to the hang tag system.
Then I'd make a motion, we allow each resident to have 2 license plates registered and disseminate the information maybe on the website. You don't have to wait 90 days. If you change your tag, you can only change it once every 90 days.
That is correct. You can only change it once every 90 days.
So the first change can be immediate, and then you have to wait 90 days to change it again.
You mean once you
Yeah.
register,
Once you register,
Yes.
then you wait 90 days?
It's designed, most people don't go get a new car every 90 days. So I think it's designed for when you get a new car or
Right.
you give up your tag and get a different tag number or something like that. So I make the motion to go immediately to 2, you can register 2 tags.
Okay, I have a motion, I need a second. I have a motion and a second, any further discussion?
It's a good idea.
All right, let's vote, all in favor?
Uh,
2 tags, you're ready. Thank you. Okay.
That solve everybody's problems. Anybody, people want happy.
Don't use everybody. Update from Park and Recreation.
Commissioner Avery could not be here tonight, but she did send in a brief summary of, their last meeting. The playground replacement project, she said the board appreciates the commissioner's positive response to the capital improvement request to replace the park and playground equipment. And they're following along with that as we go through our budget workshop. Friends of the Park campaign, they are planning, the Parks and Recreation Board is planning a fundraising and awareness campaign targeting residents and visitors, on the fact that we do need to replace this, playground equipment. So they're hoping to, start this campaign with a QR code to, ask for donations, to help go towards this goal. They plan to start at the first concert in the park, which is in May. Have a booth, have somebody there to answer questions, to talk to the public that show up, and again, have a QR code there for them. And we are starting the concert series. It is scheduled, and this year we will have food trucks at all of the concerts.
Nice.
Yay, very exciting. I was following some positive feedback that we had from the last season when we had a food truck there. Other initiatives for them, they're exploring a Memorial Day wreath laying banner to have at the park, and next to the park, the one up on the pole. This is just to bring more awareness that we do have this event. It's a small event, but we certainly would like the public to attend. And at their next meeting, they're starting to, identify 26, 27 parks and recreation priorities. And that's it.
A clarification on the, we're in our budget meetings or our goals and policy meetings, we discussed the playground replacement, but we have not budgeted or approved
Correct.
expenditure for that.
That is correct. That's not gonna be done until the budget is passed in June. They are well aware of that.
Okay, I just didn't,
But
There-
it's not a guarantee, is that what?
That's correct. They are well aware of that.
okay,
They have started a Parks and Recreation Fund donation fund line item. They actually have $5 in there currently. And so, their ideas are to, of course, their priority goal is to replace the playground equipment. But there's going to be other priorities and other goals and other projects for this Parks and Recreation Board. So those donations will go to the Parks and Recreation Fund in general.
any questions? Thanks. Move to, update of planning board. Planning board,
I'm sorry, we don't have an update. We didn't have a meeting.
okay. Update of BIS committee. Williams
Williams
in play.
having fun somewhere else.
The warm.
Yeah.
I hope he's not surfing.
Well, he sent us a picture and I didn't think that was very nice, but whatever. But he did send a brief summary as well. So the last BIS meeting was held on February 19th, and the next meeting will be held on Thursday, March 19th. Just a quick reminder, they have changed the schedule for the BIS meetings. They now are the Thursday following the board meetings. So whatever day that is. Now, because William's out of town, this one that would be tomorrow is postponed till next Thursday, but just keep that in mind. BIS fund is currently at 10 million. Our next maintenance beach nourishment project is scheduled for 27-28. The committee reviewed the latest meeting of the water management team, which toured all of the stormwater outfalls that could be contributing to the tidal flooding during king tides events. Tom led that tour, so thank you, Tom, for that. Public Works says we'll scope the outfalls with cameras. They actually have scoped the outfalls with cameras to determine the interior of the existing outfalls and formulate a plan. We may look at installing check valves and things like that. Mayor Braxton and Chairman Snyder attended the Coastal Resource Commission meeting in Atlantic Beach. A public learning was held. I think he means a public hearing. A public hearing was held concerning the division of coastal management using funds to close the purchase of the South End property at Topsail Beach, which allows for the property to be transferred to the the division of coastal management. And there was no opposition to this. And the next byway meeting is going to be held on April 23rd and April 24th.
Any questions? The meeting in Morgan City was interesting. They were talking about sandbags, of course, at figure 8 and things of that nature. So they are looking at hardened structures. And I'm on the CRAC, what you call it, crack board, and we are looking at they're looking at it. I'm just hanging on. Most of it's a science panel, and all these people are teachers or PhDs in the marine field, and they're looking at hardenscapes and what groins would do, what jetties would do, and what impacts they would actually have. Not necessarily are they approved, but if they are used, this is what you're going to get. And I think that's going to be important as the commission makes further decisions. They were looking also at the what they call a hybrid vegetation line. And it's as confusing as you can get, but they've tracked over the last 20 years the line of vegetation and the shoreline. And they plotted it out and finally came to a realization that some of our houses are fine where they are, some of them are not. And they vary from beach to beach. But they've come up with a situation that if you lost your house and you can't take your lot as it is now, or is in the future, you can't build your house closer to the ocean. They're trying to make sure that we're not getting into more situations like there are in, Buxton, where houses are falling in. And I think it's a good step. How do we resolve it for the houses that are there? That's another story. The other is, they're setting now septic tanks on the front side of each front homes. It sounds like, well, you wouldn't do that, but, you wouldn't believe how many are already out there. And, it's now, kind of a static committee right now that they're getting information from the different environmental, regulatory agencies in the counties that are issuing these permits and getting their take on it as to what's going on. So, that's the gist of it. It's pretty exciting, but keeps us informed of it. But they are on public safety building.
That's a lot.
Pass the vote.
Yeah, I'll try to make this brief. We're still trying very hard, as we work with Thomas to, meet the $9.6 million goal that we have been given by this board, almost a year ago. Frank and Nancy and Connie and Christina and I are working closely with Thomas people. Now it seems like every week, to try and figure out how to deliver a good public safety building for the 9.6 million. We can do that. But in order to get there, we're concerned that we're going to have to take off a couple of features that we really believe need to be part of this building. So, and we're talking to Thomas seriously about how to do it. They believe, I think, they believe that they can get down to 9.6 million budget with what we wanted, but they're waiting on a second round of quotations coming back from their subs and their material suppliers that they hope will get them down to that number. And it's anybody's guess as to whether or not they're going to get there. Frankly, I'm not optimistic. But we're keeping the pressure on them, and we have been doing that for several meetings. I think maybe later this week or next week, we're going to know, we're going to have a better idea what they can do. It'll be a few weeks before we really know what they can come back with. But we've been talking with them almost every day now. But we are getting close to the wire here, and we need to get some things done before we have to commit to spending the $8 million that we got by the 1st of July. That's what we're calling the encumbrance date. June 30th, yes. Meaning we have to have that $8 million that we currently have in the bank encumbered, meaning it's been committed to spend by the end of June. So we're working against that date, and when you back up from that, then there's a number of things that have to happen as we get to writing a contract. So now we've been talking pretty seriously about what happens in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks on getting to a contract here. And I'm just going to run through a few dates to show you what we're up against. This week, they are now, I think, going back to their stuff and material suppliers and getting the new round of quotes. They'll have that back in time to give us a new number. I got 9.6. We don't know. They're hoping it won't be. We're hoping it won't be. But they're going to do that by April the 13th. Then it gets real tight. We'll have a few days there to get some discussion here around what we can do. We have to have probably have a signed contract by the end of April. We'll be talking about, what's going to be in, what's going to be out during late April. But we're going to be under the gun to get those decisions made. Because we've got this encumbrance date we have to meet. In order to meet the encumbrance date, then we have to have signed contracts with Thomas a few weeks before that, so the lawyers can do all their stuff and work out the contract language. So we're feeling pretty pressed to get this done. And, you'll see us sweating over it, during the next few weeks while we, are working hard, with the supplier to get it done. We're hoping to get down to 9.6 and deliver everything that we want in this building. But we might have to make some cuts that we don't want to make, in order to get there. We're sweating.
I'll add that Mayor Braxton and Rochelle will make sure the public knows where we are on the numbers. You know, whether it can still be an attractive building or do we need an ugly building? I keep saying that to them. Don't force us to ugly. But yeah, we don't know because it's such a static situation, but there will be meetings, so you will know before decisions are made.
Yeah.
And your voice will be heard. If you want to come speak, please do.
Yeah, yes, the drive right now is that the bids are out on the street and some of the contractors are hungry. That's a good time to be on bidding, so the prices are probably going to come in lower than we anticipate, or they anticipate. We'd like to have them way down, but want a good product. But at the same time, it was, I thought just a waste of everyone's energy if I come here and say, okay, this might cost this. So once we get a bid back, it's gonna cost that, and they can't wiggle out of it. And, you know, at that point, we've got some items that we're bidding as an add-on, in which case it would be easy to subtract. If we're over budget, we can lump these out, we know what that value is. And then we'll begin to kind of play against the others and see what's the best to cut out that would be the least impact on the building and the looks of the building. So towards the end of April, I'm hoping that we can put together a building plan meeting in which we can show the building off, show the cost, and ask you for your input on what needs to be cut, if it needs to be cut at all. So where we're saying. Okay, next, discuss, consider, and vote on a text amendment to Article 3, special event.
A little bit of a disadvantage because the Attorney Hawkins is actually the one who wrote this.
JD's here.
Did he brief you on that?
No.
Well, so we're gonna wing it. How it originated was I had contacted Attorney Hawkins because I was concerned about clarifying conflict of interest in some of the things that come and that would have to come. We're a small town. So everybody knows everybody and a lot of people attend the same church and go to the same restaurants. And so they're all in the same place. So I wanted to make sure we were good on the conflict, and his response was excellent. So basically what this does is it gives staff the opportunity to sign off on certain special event permits during any season. So between May 15th and October 1st. And like I said, I don't know if I said it to you guys, so it's not just me making the decision. I actually don't have any parts in making the decision. It goes to department heads and then Christina signs off and I just issue a permit at collect fees. So it has a process. It goes through multiple people before we okay it.
A quick question. I know that it's, the church service from 7 to 10. How about like this, Easter, they have sunrise?
That's a separate service.
That's a separate, because of 4 May, is that why?
Yeah, well, and it's, there is actually, there's an exemption for that one during in season.
It's carved out.
Yes. So because Jeep Week and stuff like that used to be in, but we don't have Jeep Week anymore.
It says except sunrise services, which will be maybe called 4, 7, 8. So contemplated in there.
That's more than 200 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does this change, in simple terms, how does this change your ability to approve things without us?
It's just that particular for right now, so that it can just be approved through the office. It's changed for, church services with a building in town. Or, you know, where they meet in town. So that's essentially all this is changing. So it becomes a staff gives them.
It gives her the power to sign off on something that meets those parameters.
And those parameters are less than 200 people,
Yes, it's in the packet.
Yes, we did do that for,
where normally that time of year, everything would come to us.
correct. So anything over 200 will still come to you.
It's for a church event or a local church.
Right.
We have one.
Right.
That I know of.
Well, we have one now.
Yeah.
We have one now.
But it has to be a brick and mortar, so.
Yeah.
Well, in theory, somebody could start a church at a house. So it would apply to them too, but right now it's the one church.
I don't know of one that's been started in a house since Emma Anderson's Sunday school 50 years ago. So I think we're safe.
I'm just putting out.
Yes, I agree.
So I would assume that staff would take into account if it was 200 people, that's probably 100 cars.
I make a motion that we approve the text amendment and give the staff the ability to sign off of those without having to bring them to us. That fit within those parameters.
You have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next is a little bit different, item that we had ever had come through here. Because it doesn't really affect us any more than our sport. We're outside of the, Cape Fear, basin. But yet, I think we're part of the county is, but yet it affects the transfer of water from one basin to the other. I've dealt with that up in Raleigh when I was there. They do once or twice, but they're taking a lot of water out and they're not bringing it back. A lot of times we brought it back at sewer, but still it you know, it was supposed to be but back then you got away with it. So this is an issue that for us to discuss, consider, vote on resolution and letter opposing the town of Tequay Marina's interbasin transfer request. John is our representative. John is our representative to the organization that's requesting this.
All right, yeah, this is a request, if you haven't heard about it in the last few months, from Topsail Marina, take 6 million gallons of water a day from Cape Fear River, and dispose of it in a way that goes to the Neuse River. That requires an environmental impact statement because obviously, you know, you're moving big load of water from one place to another, like Frank mentioned. And so this has become kind of a controversial issue, really just within the last few months. Topsail Marina first applied to have a permit to do this in 2000, 6 years ago. And then they waited until 2025. I meant 2020, not 6 years ago. They waited until 2025 to deliver the environmental impact statement, which obviously it affects a large area and is, as you might anticipate, very technical. It's over 2,000 pages of environmental impact statement. And the state then scheduled for hearings on this at places up towards Raleigh and Topsail Marina and so on in December. They have 3 public hearings and Then they opened it up for statements from the public that was supposed to close in February. I guess they had a lot of pushback on that and they changed it until April the 1st. So that's kind of the picture of what's going on. And obviously it involves a good bit of southeastern North Carolina because it's along the Cape Fear River. I'm a member of, I represent the town on the Council of Governments, which is located in Wilmington, but is composed of all of the municipalities in 4 counties that are along there, including Pender County. This past Monday, I was at the executive committee meeting for that group, and the chairman there talked about what we're being asked to do. I guess somewhere along the way, the COG, Council of Governments, has been asked to put together opposition from the 4 counties to this plan. Not necessarily opposition, but opposition to having it rushed through. And this is being rushed through at the last minute. So he was describing that they now got together a group of appropriate people, engineers, environmental people, and so on, to look at the environmental impact statement and figure out whether or not they need to push back on it. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of pushback from these lower Cape Fear people to this impact statement, which was prepared by the people in Fuquay. So we, as a member of COG, have been given the text. We didn't like this letter, but we've been given the text for opposition to this plan. And this plan has very, very little to do with off the beach. We get our water out of the PD aquifer, which is way down below the Cape Fear River. And, we don't have much exposure to Cape Fear, but we're being asked to sign off on this letter. And as I listened to Alan Serkin, who is the regional director for COG, on Monday, he spoke very carefully about asking the municipalities, and in particular the mayor, would be asked to sign this letter for Topsail Beach. He spoke very carefully about the fact that the letter, which will probably be very technical and lengthy, asking that decision on the water transfer be delayed so that the lower Cape Fear counties look at the environmental statement in detail. And it was clear to me, listening to that he had reservations about going out to all of his mayors and saying, listen, I don't even have the letter for you to look at yet. It hasn't even been written. And we want you to sign it and send it in 2 weeks. So this resolution, which we're looking at, makes the flat out statement without any of us ever having seen this. It says, Town of Topsail Beach Board of Commissioners formally opposes the town of Fuquay Marina interbasin transfer certificate request. They're asking us to oppose that without having seen anything about it. I didn't know that on Monday. I heard him talking about the letter, but I didn't realize that we were going to be asked this week to sign this. And so when I read this afternoon, it kind of raised my hackles a little bit that I ought not to be recommending to the mayor. He signed for the town saying the town opposes this without any of us having a chance to look at it. We probably just thumbed through the pages, but we should not be expected pass on something that we haven't had a chance to look at. It's what we're being asked to do. So I called Alan this afternoon and I said, I really don't like this. And he was very understanding. He knows it doesn't really apply to Topsail Beach much. And he said, you do what you want. So what I'm going to do is recommend that instead of the sentence I just read, I'm going to say that we're going to sign a letter that's opposed to transfer of water after we've studied the environmental impact statement and not saying outright that we're opposed to this. So, I'll recommend a different, text to, the mayor and try to avoid, any semblance that it looks like the town is signing up for something which none of us know anything about, except what we're reading in the newspapers right now. So, that's where we are on this resolution, and Mayor, my recommendation is going to be that, we revise the text, not, everything except this one paragraph here, that we, soften it, not to say that we oppose it, but that we oppose having to make a decision after we've seen more information.
That's kind of a neutral position for us.
In a neutral position, we're not gonna say we object. We're just objecting to being asked to do something that we haven't seen. And again, it was clear from talking to Alan this afternoon, even though he had been very careful on Monday, talking to a lot of municipalities that are concerned, he was very careful about saying, I'm asking you to sign a letter that you haven't even seen, and you won't see. Well, it goes in.
Well, John, I appreciate your revisions because I'm not wholly opposed to what Fuquay Arena is proposing. However, if I was a state legislator or a Fuquay Arena official or whatever else, I would hate to be put in a position to move something along in a hurried fashion that no one's read or understands. So
That's the issue. We are being rushed into this without a chance to really talk about
So
it.
do we need to sign this?
That's the choice we have.
Well, here's my opinion on that.
Okay.
This is an issue that is important to most of the municipalities around us. It is important
You
to
can't
them.
come steal my money, my water is what it is.
And we, as a member of the COG, which represents all of those communities, including ours, are being asked to take a position, which could oppose this. That could be interpreted to opposing. I don't want to, I want to stay kind of neutral on this and not get all of the other municipalities in the COG upset at us because we are not supporting them. I think we need to just step real carefully here. And Alan seemed to be okay with that approach.
I think the best way to communicate is to not vote on it.
Well, I hear what John's saying though, is we want to support our club members, for lack of a better word. I think how you worded is,
Basically, that's it. I don't want to be viewed as not supporting this, but I do want to be viewed as not accepting them rushing us into it.
Yeah, but kind of what you said right here, that town Topsail Beach, West North Carolina environmental mandate, the additional time to respond.
Right.
I mean, that's what you're saying. Is that what you put in here then?
Yeah, well, it would be this last sentence here.
That's what you're saying up here, that, yeah, that they want additional time. That's all we're saying, that we're approving that, you know, that we don't think it's a good idea, but we want to see the final comments before we decide for sure.
We do.
so we're saying we request that they have another hearing.
Yes.
Hopefully it'll be local.
That specific request that's going out would be, and this would be from all the communities. They want to have a public hearing that is not up in, I mean, the closest one was Fayetteville. They want to have one down here, you know, probably way.
And it took us 3 pages to get to that.
And JD, correct me if I'm wrong, since we're not affected by the transfer, that if it ever went to court, the Topsail side, we're not having this.
standing.
Yeah.
Standing can be a fight in and of itself. I think there are theories of standing that would permit you to at least file a brief in support of, say, Wilmington, or what was the name of the organization?
Organization that's asking us to do this.
As a in virtue of your membership with the AGO organization, you may have some sort of secondary standing. It's difficult to speculate at this early stage, but right, affected would be a legal term of art that would be decided during proceedings. We would fight about it.
Yeah, it'd be good. I think we have, if was England, go aside, so that's. Hold on. So what you wanna do?
Well, I'll give you the text here. I read him out this afternoon. He was okay with the text that I proposed. I'm gonna change the wording of the resolution. We'll still do the resolution. Not gonna say we outright oppose it. Right, I'll get that to you.
Okay. Actually,
I'll get that to our show.
Okay, you gonna make that as a motion?
Yes, I move that we, adjust this resolution to clarify the position of Topsail Beach.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it.
Thank you. I'm sorry you had to put through that.
I want to support something that's wrong.
And I'm not saying that this is wrong. What's been wrong, and Alan knows that, we are being rushed into it.
Well, you quit reading that stuff.
Absolutely. Again, I'll go back to that point. They waited 5 years before they got an environmental impact stage. Now they want a decision.
Y'all want us to move on to something different?
Let's get the 17 managers and attorney report. Mr. Attorney, you want to report?
I don't have a specific report to give, but I've been chewing on what staff was saying about the text amendment earlier, and this is really just a footnote. Steve and I hadn't discussed this specifically, however, we have recently discussed council's ability to delegate certain tasks to the town manager and city staff. Based on those discussions, this seems squarely within that what's statutorily authorized. And I would also like to note that under town ordinance, the power to adjudicate appeals would still rest with this town council. So if city staff denies a permit, y'all, and they decide to appeal it, it would still come back to y'all. But otherwise, no, I have no formal report.
Good, thank you. Manager, do you want to add any, or we got your report, so
Have my written report. I do want to, just point out that the, stormwater CIP and resiliency plan is now done. So next month that will be removed from the report. Connie's very happy about that. And also on the very back page, the beach access vehicles, of course, that was, that season is over. And then by next month, the horse permits, season will be over. So I'll have to find some new content. It will likely be beach context, my favorite subject.
one thing to put on your calendar, this is something Joe and I discussed, is how are we going to deal with electric bikes? I ran across
On sidewalk.
sidewalks, and also there were several that were holding traffic up on the road into Surf City on 50, and then there were several that were on Highway 210. And I know we don't have any role in that, but boy, that's a dangerous situation to be, hugging the edge of the pavement and backing up traffic to get impatient. I think we need to keep an eye on that.
I will definitely work with the police chief on that. I know that there's some, state regulations that, kind of supersede us in that instance, but I'll definitely work with chief on that.
Good, thanks.
Mr. Mayor, 2 comments on that. We discussed it a little bit last year in Parks and Recreation, and there actually is a speed limit for the multi-use path of 10 miles an hour. We were also consulted, I consulted with the chief, and what he told me, and he can speak for himself, but it's very difficult to tell if the e-bike's on or off, or it's an e-bike. So that's another issue. And then thirdly, actually ran into Carson Smith at the polls last week, and he said that they're looking at that because it's not just a problem for us.
Good. I know the one I was talking today was doing 40.
Right.
E-bikes and e-bike. Well, if they can't think of 20,
Well, he was doing it.
Your e-bikes drive that go up to 70.
then I e-bike did that. They have to be qualified, because from what I understand, it's up to 20, I think is the max.
Based on wattage.
This is-
It's based on wattage.
Those of us that had a good lunch going.
They're not always accurately labeled either.
Public comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed Rogers, 212 North Anderson Boulevard. On the Parks and Rec report, apparently they're thinking about having a fundraiser to raise money to buy new equipment for the playground. Is that legal? And can the town accept money from their citizens to do something that the town is supposed to do for their citizens anyway?
Yes, we
They
can.
can?
We've already reached out to Attorney Coggins, with the idea. We didn't know if we needed to set up some kind of a nonprofit or anything like that, but it is legal for us to receive donations to our Parks and Recreation Fund.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Mayor Commissioner reports. Start with you, John.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. Alex?
And then I think this was mentioned earlier, MA Anderson is having their annual Easter sunrise service, Easter Sunday, April 5th at 6:30, Scott Avenue access, which is access number 12. If you're interested, the Historical Society Missiles and War Museum is doing docent training on Friday morning. You can look into that. And spring is here. Our cars are covered with green. And I was kayaking this morning and it's even in the sound. So welcome to spring.
Kate's probably aware of this, but Carson Smith proposed that we have a moratorium on shellfish leases that has never gotten to a vote. And shellfish lease applications, to my knowledge, opened again March 1st, due by August 1st. We need to just stay diligent because I went through what I call the S curve going at the far end to the inland waterway the first time I've done it this year. And there's a plethora of white poles all over the place. It looks like a PVC farm. And we don't want our sound to look like that. I want to eat oysters, don't get me wrong, but I would like to not see them above the waterline. So Tate, you probably will hear about it before I do. Keep me abreast.
You just had a meeting last week. Carson won't answer phone.
I'll get with you on that. I will.
John?
A couple of times, more than once tonight, the south end was mentioned in a number of different, ways. Many thanks to those of you, a number of you in this room helped make the south end happen. Now, we appreciate that so much. It wouldn't have been possible without help from our residents.
Evelyn, thank everyone for coming out. I think we had a great meeting, and I think the biggest thing coming up is our budget right around the corner. Still waiting to hear from the county on what our new tax base will be, but we don't know either anymore than you guys know what your values will be. So hopefully we'll know before too long.
All right, to clean up. Thank you all for coming. Again, I think it was a good meeting. We got through in not record time, but we're getting closer to it. Also, spring is here. We're starting our season. I think it's going to be an exciting season this year. I think we're a rude awakening on the number of cars that will be down here, and the parking's going to be an issue, and we're just going to have to deal with it and respond to it as we can. There's also a budget meeting coming up, and so please attend. You know, we don't want to work in a void. We really need your input. March 18th is our meeting. So, please put it on your calendars and get here. We need your support. So,
One minute.
okay, sure.
I lost the train of thought when I was talking about that Q-Wave or anything. I need to make a motion that we replace, a paragraph in the resolution, with these words that I'm gonna read, and then let us act that resolution. That's okay. There's a paragraph in the resolution that, is about what the town of Topsail Beach commits to. I'm gonna replace it with the town of Topsail Beach Board of Commissioners opposes the town Speedway Marina IBT certificate request and draft environmental impact statement as released on October 27, 2025, without further amendment and awaiting approval by the Environmental Management Commission as of March 11. Basically, that says we're not going to approve this until we've got more information.
Jamie, can we do that or we need to?
If I were being particular about the rules of order, I would suggest that you first make a motion to reopen the discussion
Okay,
and then make a motion for amendment.
thank you.
I'm going to be up in discussion on that item.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion to reopen.
I move that we, amend the resolution that is in the, package with the paragraph that I just read, and then approve that resolution.
Have a motion,
I second.
have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none? Approved.
I make a motion, we close this meeting and let these good people go home.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Yeah.